Hello from Halifax. This is Jo with Jo to the World Creations, and today we're going to be making my rainbow blanket crochet pattern. This is a really fun and easy pattern that you can make as a crochet baby blanket or as a regular blanket. I've called it a crochet rainbow blanket, but you can use any colors you'd like. I'm really excited to share this crochet blanket pattern with you, and we're going to be getting right to the video tutorial. All of the details, such as how much yarn is required, what yarn weight you should use, what crochet hook size you should use, as well as the step-by-step written instructions, are available for free on my website. Or you can purchase the ad-free print-ready PDF, and there are links to both in the description below this video. All right, let's get started. With our main color, we're going to start by making a slip knot. For this video tutorial, I'm just using a different size for yarn than what is referenced in the written instructions. I'm just using a color gray so that it's easier to see. All right, so let's make a slip knot. So there's lots of different ways to make a slip knot. I make a slip knot by making a loop, pulling the yarn through the loop and pulling tight, and putting the loop on my hook, and once again, pulling tight. To make a blanket that is approximately 29 inches wide, we're going to chain 85. So with our slip knot made, we're just going to make 85 starting chains. You can adjust the width of the blanket by making fewer or more starting chains in multiples of 7 plus 1, which means to take any number that you can divide by 7 and add 1 to that number. For this video tutorial, I'm just going to be making a small swatch to show you exactly how to make this blanket. But if you want to make the blanket following the instructions, chain 85 and come back to the video. With our starting chains now made, we're going to begin row 1. And for row 1, we are going to be working into the back ridge loops of the starting chain. And what that means is the back ridge loops, if you twist your starting chain, these are the bumps along the back. And we're going to be working into these bumps or these back ridge loops all the way across the starting chain. We are going to be working into the second chain from the hook. So this is the first chain and this is the second chain. And we're going to be working into the second chain, but we're going to be working into the back ridge loop. So we're going to twist or rotate our work and work into the back ridge loop, the second back ridge loop from the hook. So if you can see this bump here, that's the first, and we're going to work into the second. So working into the second chain from hook into the back ridge loop, we are going to single crochet. So we're going to insert our hook into that back bump and single crochet. Working into the next back ridge loop, we're also going to single crochet, and we're actually going to single crochet into each back ridge loop all the way across. So in each bump, just make one single crochet. So you go ahead and do that and come back to the video when you've completed single crocheting into each back ridge loop all the way across. So I'm almost finished single crocheting all the way across. Sometimes I've had questions about finishing the row, so I just wanted to show you how I do the last 2 stitches. Still working into the back ridge loops, I'm simply single crocheting into these back ridge loops. And this last chain can be hard to see because it's attached to the slip knot that we made when we started, but simply find the back ridge loop, that back bump, and work into it the same way you've done the rest of your stitches. Just simply single crochet. At the end of row 1, if you followed the pattern and you made 85 starting chains, you should have 84 single crochet stitches now complete at the end of row 1. Now we're going to start row 2, and in this pattern, many of these rows get repeated frequently throughout the pattern. And row 2 is the row where we make double crochet stitches all the way across. So let's do that together, and you'll be doing this many times throughout the pattern. So to start row 2, which is a double crochet across row, we're going to start by chaining 2. So chain 1 and chain 2. And now we're going to turn our work. So we just flip our work around like we're turning a page in the book. For this pattern, we're always going to work into the very first stitch. That's the stitch that's attached to the chains that we've made. You may have 2 chains, you may have 1, but you're always going to work into that first stitch unless you're instructed to skip it. But in this row, we are not instructed to skip it. And the pattern will tell you to skip it. If it doesn't tell you to skip it, you automatically assume to work into that first stitch. So working into this first stitch, we're going to make our first double crochet stitch into the first stitch. So into that first stitch, we're going to double crochet. And we are going to make a double crochet stitch in every stitch across. So just making 1 double crochet stitch in each stitch across. So you can go ahead and do that. Make 1 double crochet stitch all the way across, just like I did at the end of row 1. I'll show you how I finish the row. You can come back to the video and we'll do the end of the row together. So I'm almost finished making a double crochet stitch into each stitch across, and I have 2 stitches left to work into. So I'm not doing anything differently, but just to show you, into my second last stitch, I'm making a double crochet stitch. And into this final stitch, I'm also making a double crochet stitch. At the end of row 2, you should have a total of 84 double crochet stitches. The chain 2 that we made to start the row, we chained 2. These chains never count as stitches. So when you're counting your stitches for each row in this pattern, only count the actual stitches. Do not count the chains that started the row. Now we're going to start row 3. And this is another row we're going to be doing a lot of in this pattern. And this row is where we're going to single crochet across. So to start row 3, which is a single crochet across row, we're going to chain 1 and turn. We're always going to work into the first stitch unless specifically instructed to skip it, but we're not instructed to skip it for this row. So working into the first stitch, the stitch that's attached to the chain here, we're going to single crochet. And we're going to single crochet in each stitch across. Simply make 1 single crochet stitch in each stitch across. So you can go ahead and do that and come back to the video and we'll finish the row together. So I'm almost finished making a single crochet stitch all the way across, and I have 2 stitches left, and I wanted to point out the difference between a stitch. So the last stitch is right here. Then there's the chain 2 that we made that started the previous row. So these chain 2s do not get worked into. Our last stitch is the top of the double crochet stitch from the previous row. So we don't work into the chain 2s, we would only work into the tops of stitches. So I have 2 stitches left to work into, and I'm not doing anything different. I'm just single crocheting in each of those stitches. At the end of row 3, you should have a total of 84 stitches complete. And just a reminder, the chain 1 that we made to start the row does not count as a stitch. All right, now let's start row 4. Row 4 is really fun. You're going to do a bunch of different stitches in this row. So to start row 4, we are going to chain 1 and turn. We are not going to skip the first stitch because the pattern doesn't say so. What the pattern says to do is to single crochet in the next stitch. And since it's not instructing us to skip it, we're going to work right into that first stitch, the stitch that's attached to the chain, and we are going to single crochet into that first stitch. Then the pattern says to half double crochet in the next stitch. So next we're going to half double crochet. In the next stitch, we're going to double crochet. In the next stitch, we are going to make 3 triple or treble crochet stitches. It's called both treble and triple. I call them triple, so for the remainder of this pattern I'm going to call them triple crochet stitches, but many people refer to them as treble crochet stitches. They're exactly the same thing. And into this next stitch we're going to make 3 triple crochet stitches into that same stitch. So to make our first triple crochet stitch, we're yarning over twice, inserting our hook into the next stitch, pulling up a loop. We have 4 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull that yarn through just the first 2 loops. 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over, pull that yarn through just 2 loops on our hook. So we have 2 loops left. We're going to yarn over one more time and pull that yarn through our remaining 2 loops. And we're going to do that 2 more times so that we have a total of 3 triple crochet stitches in the same stitch. So yarning over twice, pulling up a loop, pulling it through 2 loops, yarning over, pulling it through 2 loops, and yarning over and pulling it through 2 loops. One more time. And that completes the 3rd triple crochet stitch in the same stitch. Next, we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. And next, we're going to half double crochet in the next stitch. And finally, we are going to single crochet in the next stitch. And why I say finally is what we've just done here is what we're going to be repeating all the way across. So let's do it one more time together. And remember, these instructions, or refer to the written instructions, because it's the same repeat all across the row. So the first step of our repeat is to single crochet in the next stitch. In the next stitch, half double crochet. In the next stitch, double crochet. In the next stitch, make 3 triple crochet stitches in the same stitch. That's my first of 3. It's my second of 3. And that's my third of 3 triple crochet stitches in the same stitch. Next, we're going to double crochet in the next stitch, half double crochet in the next stitch, and finally single crochet in the next stitch. So you're going to repeat those set of instructions all the way across. And at the very end of the row, your last stitch should be your final single crochet stitch from repeating those instructions. So finish this row, repeating those instructions all the way across, and come back to the video. So I'm almost finished repeating these instructions all the way across. Just to show you how I do the end of the row, I've just finished 3 triple crochet stitches in the same stitch. So my next stitch is a double crochet stitch, followed by a half double crochet stitch and a single crochet stitch. At the end of row 4, you should have a total of 108 stitches. So now that we've completed row 4, we're going to make our first color change. So you can see in the blanket that I made, my bottom color here is purple. So if you want to follow exactly what I've done, you switch to purple. And that's what I've indicated in the written instructions. But honestly, the world's your oyster. You can use any colors you'd like, but just to make it easier to follow, I've referenced exactly what I've done when I've made this blanket. So I've alternated the rainbow colors with my main color, and that's what I'll be doing for the rest of the tutorial, and that's what's in the written instructions. But by all means, you can use whatever colors you'd like. So for this color change, you're going to want to use your bottom color, whatever you'd like your bottom rainbow color to be. For this video tutorial, I'm just using this pink yarn that's a size 4. Just again, so it's easy to see. So anytime you're going to change colors, you're going to take your new color and place it on top of your hook, leaving an 8-inch tail or so that you'll have enough to weave in your loose ends. So you just simply place it on your hook and pull the new color through the loop of your old color, just like that. Tighten up the old color. And now we're simply going to use the new color, but we're going to fasten off the old color. So you just leave again about an 8-inch tail and simply cut your yarn to fasten off. So you can see here I have about an 8-inch tail that I'll use to weave in my ends when finished. So now with our new color attached, we're going to start using our new color, and we are going to begin row 5. To begin row 5, we're going to chain 1 and turn. You'll probably want to tighten up both the old color and the new color, and you can tighten it up even more when you weave in your loose ends. For row 5, now that we've chained 1 and turn, we are going to skip the first stitch. The instructions tell us specifically to skip the first stitch. So that means for this row, we are not working into the stitch that's attached to the chain. So skipping that first stitch, in the next stitch, and actually the instructions say to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So once again, skip that first stitch, and in the next stitch, make our first single crochet stitch. And it says to single crochet in the next 3 stitches, so we've made 1 of 3. In the next stitch, single crochet, and in the next stitch, single crochet. In the next stitch, we are going to make 3 single crochet stitches into the same stitch. So working into the next stitch, make our first single crochet, and then in the same stitch, make our second, and then in the same stitch, make our third. So we have 3 single crochet stitches in the same stitch. So with our 3 single crochet stitches into the same stitch now completed, we're going to start the repeat section of this row. And so we're going to be repeating the following instructions over and over again until there are 4 stitches left in the row. So let's go through exactly what those instructions are that we're going to be repeating. The first step of the repeat is to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So that means to make 1 single crochet stitch in each of the next 3 stitches. So in the next stitch, single crochet, that's 1. In the next stitch, single crochet, that's 2. In the next stitch, single crochet, that's 3. The next part of the repeat is to skip the next 2 stitches, so we leave those unworked. The next set of instructions in this repeat is to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So we skip over those 2, and then we're going to make 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So that's 1, in the next stitch, that's 2, and in the next stitch, that's 3. And the last part of the repeat instructions is to make 3 single crochet stitches into the next stitch. So working into the same stitch, we're going to make 3 single crochet stitches. So that's our first. In the same stitch, we're going to make a second and then a third. So now we're going to repeat those instructions all the way across until there are 4 stitches left. So starting with single crochet in the next 3 stitches, and then skip 2 stitches, and then single crochet in the next 3 stitches, and make 3 single crochet stitches in the same stitch. Those are the instructions that you're going to repeat all the way across the row until you have 4 stitches left. So you're going to do this all the way across and finish after you've made 3 single crochet stitches in the same stitch. That's the last thing you'll do. Then come back to the video and we'll do the last 4 stitches together. So I've just made 3 single crochet stitches in 1 stitch, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches left. You can see them better here. In those last 4 stitches, this is what we're going to do. We're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1, 2. Just make 1 in each of the next 2. So single crochet in the next stitch and single crochet in the next stitch. Next, we are going to skip the next stitch. So we're not going to work in that, but working into the very last stitch, we're going to make 1 final single crochet stitch in the last stitch. So skip over the next stitch and then make a single crochet stitch in your last stitch. At the end of row 5, you should have a total of 108 stitches. You're going to be repeating row 5 a lot of times throughout this pattern, and whenever you finish a row 5, for the next row, you'll always be using the same color. So just continue using the same color, and now we're going to move on to row 6. So to start row 6, we're going to chain 2 and turn. So 1, 2, there's my chain 2, and now we're going to turn. The first thing we're going to do in row 6 is to double crochet 2 together over the first and second stitches. Here's how to do that. Sometimes in patterns, this is called a double crochet decrease. And why I've specifically said to double crochet over the next 2 stitches is there are some patterns that you make a double crochet 2 or 3 together in the same stitch, but not in this pattern. In this pattern, we're working over 2 stitches. So we've chained 2, and what we're going to do is make our first double crochet 2 together. and we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the very first stitch, the stitch that's attached to the chain. Insert our hook, and we're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. So we have 3 loops on our hook. Now we're going to yarn over and pull that yarn through just the first 2 loops on our hook. So now we have 2 loops on our hook. Now we're going to yarn over again, and this time we're going to insert our hook into the next stitch. So that's the second stitch in this row. And then we're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. So we have 4 loops on our hook. Now we're going to yarn over and pull that yarn through just the first 2 loops. Now we have 3 loops on our hook. Finally, we're going to yarn over and pull this yarn through all 3 loops on our hook. And that completes our first double crochet 2 together over the first and second stitches. Next, we are going to double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So that just means to make 1 double crochet in the next stitch and 1 double crochet in the next stitch. So make 1 double crochet in the next stitch and make 1 double crochet in the next stitch. Next, we are going to make 3 double crochet stitches in the same stitch. So working into the next stitch, we're going to make 3 double crochet stitches. So that's 1, working into the same stitch, that's 2, and finally our 3rd double crochet stitch in the same stitch. Now we are going to start the repeat section of this row. And this is what we are going to be repeating all the way across until there are 4 stitches left. So the first part of the repeat is to double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So that just means to make 1 double crochet stitch in each of the next 2 stitches. So that was my first, and in the next stitch, double crochet stitch. The next part of the repeat instructions is to double crochet 2 together over the next 2 stitches, and to do that twice, which means then over the next 2 stitches, double crochet 2 together. So first we're going to double crochet over the next 2 stitches, and then because the instructions say to do that twice, we're going to double crochet over the next 2 stitches as well. So let's yarn over, insert our hook into the next stitch, yarn over, 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull it through 2 loops on our hook. We now have 2 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over again, inserting our hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 4 loops on our hook, yarn over, and pull that yarn through just 2 loops on our hook, 3 loops left, yarn over, pull that yarn through all 3 loops. So now we've just completed a double crochet 2 together over the next 2 stitches, but we've got to do that one more time. So we're doing, there's our first of 2, and then here's our second of 2, and finishing the stitch, I've now double crocheted 2 together over the next 2 stitches. The next part of the repeat instructions is to double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So making 1 double crochet stitch in the next stitch and 1 double crochet stitch in the next stitch. And the final part of the repeat instructions is to make 3 double crochet stitches into the same stitch. So working into the same stitch, we make 1 double crochet stitch, 2 double crochet stitches, and finally 3 double crochet stitches into the same stitch. So we are going to be repeating. So after the 3 double crochet stitches in the same stitch. This is where the repeat starts. And those instructions, once again, are to double crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then double crochet 2 together over the next 2 stitches and the next 2 stitches, because we're going to do that twice, and then double crochet in the next 2 stitches, and finally make 3 double crochet stitches into the same stitch. Those are the instructions that you're going to repeat all the way across. The last thing you'll do is into the 5th last stitch. You're going to make, just count that there, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, into the 5th last stitch. I want to make sure I'm pointing in the right spot. That's where you'll make your 3 double crochet stitches into the same stitch, and you will have 4 stitches left. Because we've done a color change, that was coming out a little bit, which made me think that could have been a stitch. But once you tighten it up, you can see that no, the tops of the stitches that you're working in are here, not the color change that we did. So you go ahead and do that all the way across, and when you have 4 stitches left, come back to the video. So I've just made 3 double crochet stitches into the same stitch, and that was the last step of my last repeat. So now there's 4 stitches left. If you have this little part here from the color change, you don't work into that. You only work into the tops of stitches. Here's what we're going to do for these last 4 stitches. We're going to double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, and then we're going to double crochet 2 together over the last 2 stitches. So let's do this step by step. So double crochet in the next 2 stitches, meaning 1 double crochet in the next stitch and 1 double crochet stitch in the next stitch. And over the last 2 stitches, we're going to double crochet 2 together. And then into the last stitch. There we go. At the end of row 6, you should have a total of 108 stitches. So we've just completed a row 6, and I'm using purple in the pattern here. I was using pink in the video tutorial, but following the actual pattern, that's when I've used purple. And then for row 7, I'm switching to the main color. And with the main color, I'm repeating row 5. So I fasten off the color that I was using and just use the main color, and I now repeat row 5. And then still with the main color, I repeat row 6. And I'm going to do this for the entire section of these rainbow ripples. So I'm simply repeating row 5 and 6 for this entire section, and alternating between repeating row 5 and 6 with the main color, repeating row 5 and 6 with a rainbow color. So you can either follow the instructions exactly for this color combination, or feel free to use your own. After the last rainbow color that I've used, which is this pink color, I then switch to the main color, okay? And I complete a row 5 again. So I repeat row 5. That is row 27. So row 27 is switching to the main color and simply repeating that row that we've done before, row 5. Then we're going to move on to row 28, and that's the start of the main section, or I call it the middle section of the blanket. So you go ahead and complete all these rainbow ripples, and then after your final color, you're going to repeat row 5 once again with the main color, and then come back to the video, and we're going to do row 28 together. So the repeating of row 5 with the main color after this last color rainbow ripple, that's row 27. So after you've done row 27, come back to the video and we're going to do row 28 together. So I'm going to pretend that I've just repeated row 5 and row 6 for the entire time I've been making my rainbow ripples. So I'm going to pretend that I've just finished row 27 where I've switched back to my main color and I completed row 5 again. So that's me completing row 27, and now I'm going to show you how to do row 28. To start row 28, we're going to be using our main color, and we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn. For this row, the instructions that we're going to be repeating begin right away. So the start of the repeat that we're going to be following all the way across the row starts with, in the next stitch, triple crochet. So since it's not instructing us to skip the first stitch, the next stitch means to work into the first stitch. So into that first stitch, we're going to triple crochet. And this is the first step of the repeat that we will be doing all the way across. So we've just made a triple crochet stitch. In the next stitch, we're going to double crochet. In the next stitch, we're going to half double crochet. Next, we are going to skip the next stitch. In the next stitch, we're going to single crochet. Next, we're going to skip the next stitch. So not working into that stitch, into the following stitch, we're going to half double crochet. In the next stitch, we're going to double crochet. And the final step in this repeat is in the next stitch to make a triple crochet. So those are the instructions we're going to be repeating all the way across. Let's do it one more time. In the next stitch, triple crochet. In the next stitch, double crochet. In the next stitch, half double crochet. Then we're going to skip the next stitch and into the next stitch make a single crochet. Skip the next stitch and in the following stitch make a half double crochet. In the next stitch, double crochet. And finally, in the next stitch, make a triple crochet. So you're going to be repeating that all the way across. Triple, double, half, skip a stitch, single, skip a stitch, half, double, triple. Repeat those steps all the way across, and your final stitch in the row should be a triple crochet in the last stitch. So you go ahead and do that all the way across and then come back to the video. So I've just finished repeating those steps all the way across. My last stitch was a triple crochet stitch in the last stitch. At the end of row 28, you should have a total of 84 stitches. The rest of the blanket is repeating rows that we've already covered in this video. So at this point, it's a really good idea to go to the written instructions and follow step by step what the row tells you to do. And then you can simply re-watch any part of this video for help on how to complete those rows. But it's all clearly laid out in the written instructions, and it's going to tell you exactly when to change colors, what to do for the rest of the blanket. So just to walk you through what you can expect is now that we've finished row 28, you're going to start with row 29, which is a row of single crochet stitches all the way across. And then it's a row of double crochet stitches and a row of single crochet stitches and double crochet stitches for the entire middle section of the blanket. You can see here how long I've made it. And if you want to adjust your height of the blanket, this is where you can do so. So you can continue making, and the whole middle section is just row of single crochet stitches, a row of double. And we've covered that in the video, so you feel free to watch that again if you're stuck on anything. But you can make as many rows as you'd like or follow the instructions in the pattern for the exact size that I've done here. So after completing the middle section, which again is just a row of single crochet and double crochet stitches, after your final row of single crochet stitches, then you're going to repeat row 4, which we've already done. And then you're going to be repeating rows 5 and 6, just like we did for the start of the blanket. And in the written instructions, I have exactly what colors I've used if you want to follow along with those. And then after you've done all your rainbow ripples, then we do row 28 again. And then we finish the blanket really almost the exact same way we started it. So we'll do a row of single crochet stitches, a row of double crochet stitches, and then the final row will be a row of single crochet stitches. So after your final row of single crochet stitches, you simply fasten off and weave in all your loose ends. I personally chose not to do a border for this blanket because I loved the way that the colors ended at the ends of rows. So that was my personal preference, but you're absolutely welcome to add any type of border you'd like. You can go through any of my other blanket patterns. Most of them have borders, so feel free to choose whatever one you'd like best if you want to add one. I don't have instructions on how to do that because I personally liked it without the border, but absolutely you're welcome to. And that's it for this blanket. I really hope you enjoyed making it. I really appreciate you watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts and see your finished blankets. And if there's anything I can do to help, please let me know. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.